welcome to Eye on Horror, the official podcast of iHorror.com. This is episode 76, otherwise known as season 4, episode 19. I think I got those numbers right. I am your host, James J. Edwards, and with me, as always, is your other host, Jacob Davison. How you doing, Jacob?
Doing good. Just excited for the Thanksgiving season. Going to be visiting my family soon.
Oh, cool. You going back east again?
Yep, going back east again.
All right. You going to visit the archive?
Oh, you bet your ass I am.
Of course. That was a dumb question. Also with us yet again and for always and forever is your other host, John Correa. How you doing, Correa?
Doing good. But also we should know that when Jacob says he's going home to visit family, he really means he's going to the Vinegar Syndrome headquarters.
Well, Vincent is family.
It is visiting family.
It's all about chosen family. Vinegar Syndrome very much so is a chosen family.
So what's been going on for you guys? You guys see anything good?
Yes. So in my house, we're huge Mike Flanagan fans, of course. And Lindsay, my beautiful partner, pointed out that Kate Siegel does movies that aren't directed by Mike Flanagan the other day.
What?
Yeah.
You mean she's not a Sherry Moon zombie?
You know, I made that comparison. I was like, she's definitely not a Sherry Moon. There we go. Brain farts. Why are we recording so early?
Yeah.
Because I have to work in 50 minutes.
So, but yeah, Kate Siegel, she does more than Mike Flanagan movies. She was actually in a Netflix movie recently called Hypnotic, where it stars her, Jason O'Mara, who does a lot of voice acting for the DC animated movies. It was directed by Matt Angel and Suzanne Coote, and you know what? It was a solid little piece. It was about she's someone who is going through depression in a rough time, so her friend recommends her to a therapist who does hypnotherapy, and it kind of turns it. A lot of the movie, I will admit, I kept comparing it to the TV show Hannibal because there's a lot of like screwy stuff happening with the hypnotherapy and all that stuff. Of course, Kate Siegel gives a great performance, very haunting at times. But there were like parts, there was like some weird pacing issues I had with it, but it was fine. If you're looking for like a kind of B-level type of Hannibal Lecter, you could definitely have a lot of fun with this one. I think Jason O'Mara had a lot of fun just kind of like hamming it up, being like, oh, I have control over you now. SWAT thing, and he would say something and they would freeze, you know. But it was if you're bored and on Netflix, it's fine.
Have either of you guys seen the beta test?
Oh yeah, actually I just saw that llast week.
What did you think?
Yeah, it took me a little bit of time to think it over, but I thought it was very interesting, and it's very hard to describe because the way I was kind of log-lining it to friends is that it was kind of like Swimming with Sharks meets I'm blocking the name, the Tom Cruise Stanley Kubrick movie
Eyes Wide Shut.
Eyes Wide Shut. So yeah, Eyes Wide Shut.
That's a better log line to me. I was saying it was American Psycho meets The Game.
Yeah, it's just such a weird psychological thriller. It hits all these beats, but also that it's, you know, a talent agency movie.
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan. I mean, I it's a well-made movie. I couldn't tell if it was supposed to be a comedy. Like,
oh yeah, no, it was definitely meant to be funny.
I compare it to American Psycho because the writer-director also plays the lead role.
Yeah, Jim Cummings.
Like you say, it's this. He's a talent agent, and he gets an invitation to a no strings anonymous sexual encounter. And he's got this fiance who I think is the best role in the movie. She's Virginia Newcomb, who is also the wife in The Death of Dick Long. So this poor woman needs better relationship choices in movies. But he's given off Patrick Bateman vibes through the whole thing. He's like, basically the movie is watching him go crazy. But he's trying to figure out, because clearly this anonymous sexual encounter is preying on his mind, and he's going through, like, he's tracking down like the envelope manufacturer and the messenger. Like, he's trying to find out who's behind this thing, kind of like Michael Douglas in the game. But I couldn't tell. I mean, with American Psycho, it's a satire. This one, it's like I couldn't. It's got a weird tone to it.
I definitely feel that, but it definitely was aiming to be a dark comedy to at least an extent. But yeah, no, it's definitely an outlier of a movie. But yeah, I think it was pretty interesting, and it was definitely entertaining.
Yeah, it was entertaining, and it's a good length too. It doesn't overstay itself.
But wait, it was a Jim Cummings movie, like the guy who did
The Wolf of Snow Hollow,
right? Yeah. And Jim Cummings is in it, but he's not playing a cop.
Yeah,
because I've thought at this point he wouldn't do any roles unless he played a cop, because he's at least in 2 of his movies he's played a cop, and then he was a cop in Halloween Kills.
Yeah,
and. So really, not a cop in this one. Okay.
He kind of becomes a detective, though, and he tells people he's a cop.
He fakes being a cop.
There it is.
And,
okay.
and an FBI agent. And
he tells people he's a cop and a Fed to get what he wants. So
Well, he repeatedly tells people he's like all these fake professions in order to try and get ahead on his weird obsession.
Got you. So yeah, there's still an element of him playing a cop in some
manner. And I mean, it is kind of a detective mystery story, I guess.
He's playing a cop.
playing. He's a man playing a cop, playing a man who's trying to be a cop, who wants to be a cop, but really he's a cop.
I lost you, but I think you're right.
I don't know. I got mucus brain.
Okay. As for me, I went to the Severin Shock Super Pop-Up the other day. You know, the mystery screenings they do to premiere their Black Friday titles. And, oh, man, they got some crazy shit.
I saw that Bloody Pit of Horror is one.
Yeah.
That is a crazy movie.
Oh, man, it is bananas. Because it's like this 60s, or sorry, I think
it's 60s.
Yeah, it's a 60s Italian kind of torture, murder.
Like a Marquis de Sade kind of a thing.
Yeah, and that's just really funny, though, because the killer, who's called the Crimson Executioner, is this big buff dude played by a professional wrestler who oils himself up and, like, tortures people.
I was going to say, he looks like a professional wrestler. He's legit a wrestler?
Yeah, I believe he was played by a professional wrestler.
Yeah, he looks like one.
Yeah, no, it is also kind of weirdly meta because the victims are this like film crew making a horror movie or doing like kind of a horror themed photo shoot, and then they start getting picked off one by one with medieval torture devices and stuff. And also there's this ridiculous scene where this woman is tied to a giant metal spider web with a mechanical spider with like claws and stuff is like attacking her. It is just a wild movie. And let's see. Okay, and the other 2 movies were pretty ridiculous. Were pretty wild too. Because let's see, the second movie, because it was 3 movies, and the rest of the movies were revealed through trailers. So the other 2 movies they screened were this Indonesian psychological thriller from the guy that did like Impedagore and Queen of Black Magic, Joko Anwar. It's like about a sculptor who's having marital issues, and then he starts getting paranoid that his friends and family are kind of plotting against him, and he gets these weird messages that somebody needs his help. And it's almost 2 hours long, so it was a bit of a drag at times, but it did have a hell of a payoff, so it was kind of interesting to see that one unfold. And then, of course, the big one, like the one that like really blew up the audience, was Night of the Demon. Are you guys familiar?
Yeah, Night of the Demon, singular, right?
Yeah, although not the classic Turner or Val Lewton produced one. This is the grungy 1980 exploitation, super gory, video nasty Bigfoot movie.
Oh, okay. No, that one I'm not familiar with.
Yeah, I kept getting confused with that because I was like, Night of the Demon, that already got a release, and like Bigfoot, so.
Yeah, it's weird. They have the same title, but yeah, but they went into the production history because it was one of those things where it was originally trying to cash in on the kind of Bigfoot craze of the 70s, and then it's 1980 and slashers are big, so the producers are like, okay, we got to add like a bunch more scenes of Bigfoot going around and killing people horribly. And there's these ridiculous kill sequences, but mostly just out of context because it's like flashbacks or like unrelated shit. Just Bigfoot like rips a dude's arm off, and Bigfoot kills a dude with his own axe. And Bigfoot also apparently was the first person to like take somebody in a sleeping bag and impale them on a tree branch. So he beat Jason in that one.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's just this crazy ass Bigfoot movie.
Wasn't there a sleeping bag kill in Prophecy?
There was, although that in that case the bear just like swung and obliterated that person in one go with its claw.
Was that before or after Night of the Demon?
Actually, it probably might have been around the same time.
Okay, Prophecy I think was 79, maybe 78.
So this would have been about the same time because Night of the Demon was shot around 78, 79. It wasn't released until 1980. It's one of those things. But
I wonder who worked on both movies and spilled it. You know what they did? And
yeah, but anyway, yeah, and it's like about this professor and his students like going to the woods to track down Bigfoot, and there's a Bigfoot cult, and there's a woman who was sexually assaulted by Bigfoot, and yeah, it's just a crazy ass Bigfoot movie, and yeah, it was a notorious video nasty. It was banned in several countries.
I feel like this movie was made for me and Korea because it's got Bigfoot and it's got a cult.
And it's a video nasty, so it's just ticking all the boxes.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, if it makes Maggie Thatcher mad.
Oh, dude, anything that real quick, I refuse to watch The Crown because I don't want Gillian, Anderson associated with Margaret Thatcher at all. I don't want that ruined.
Yeah, that gives me very confused feelings.
No, not happening. I don't care how good the performance is. Anyways, back to murder, Bigfoot cults.
Bigfoot murder cults.
Yeah, and also on top of that, they're releasing a bunch of merch with Night of the Demon, including like a Night of the Demon mask, a Bigfoot statuette from the most infamous scene in the movie where Bigfoot rips a dude's dick off.
Nice.
The statue is of him ripping a dude's dick off?
Well, holding it, yeah.
He's got a dick in hand.
Yes, and I actually won a pretty cool prize from the raffle. They did a novelization of Night of the Demon, like what they did with Cruel Jaws. So yeah, it's the book version of the notorious video nasty.
Have you ever gone to something like this and not won something?
No, well, it's like my grandfather always said: never leave anywhere empty-handed.
I almost went to that, but there's been a cult going around, unfortunately.
I was gonna say, I think all three of us are sick. I'm gonna hopefully I can edit it all out of the final, but we're all sniffling and coughing and sneezing. So if you hear sniffling, coughing, and sneezing, it's because it was too hard to edit out.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
not sick. I'm just, I think it's just allergies, and also I think I'm still kind of getting over my COVID vaccine booster.
Oh, those are both rough. I actually took the opportunity to give two recent, not super recent, one of them, two movies that I was like, you know what, I think those movies deserve a second chance. One of which was not really horror, but Michael Mann's Black Hat, with Chris Hemsworth as like a hacker trying to stop a hacking terrorist. Basically, this movie is what if Hackers was like a legitimately good thriller, and it's honestly like really good. I was really digging up on how that movie, they did a good job of building the tension of hackers just doing social hacks, where you just kind of like ask the right questions and like not really having to do the whole code thing. It was very interesting, very worth going back and rewatching with 2021 eyes. But I did also, I think in all honesty, I think it was the first time I ever watched Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman.
Oh yeah, I remember that one.
Listen, I got that one. I was ready to be like, yo, maybe everyone was wrong about this one. And those opening scene that was in black and white happened. I was like, man, I think everyone was wrong about this movie. This is pretty dope. this is a lot of fun. I kind of dig where they're going with this. And then like the rest of the movie just like did everything it could to just like undo all that goodwill it built up with me in the first like 10 minutes. Like the dialogue, the ending,
Hugh Jackman chews every stick of scenery in that movie. He is just a total ham.
Everybody does.
The funny thing is at its core, that did not feel like Van Helsing at all. Like Van Helsing was always this like was an academic who had to become a badass because his academic studies led him to the world of Dracula and others, right? Yeah. And so first and foremost, he was always a nerd. This guy wasn't a nerd. And I was also very confused on how everyone was confused about Dracula. Like there seemed to be a whole thing in the beginning where it's like, and there's this guy, and he's torturing and terrorizing Romania right now, and they're like, oh my god, who is this? I don't know. We think his name is Dracula or something. And like, so it's like, so wait, no one knows who the fuck Dracula is? He's been around for 400 years in this story. And then like they get there and they're like, oh yeah, no, Dracula can't be killed because of blah 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 blah. And it's like, wait, so you did know about Dracula? Did you not know about Dracula, or do you know about Dracula? I don't understand what the fuck is happening. Don't even get me started about Van Helsing's stupid werewolf superpowers. You know what? I get it. I get why people are angry at this movie. Like it's got me fired up.
Yeah, I saw it in high school, and even then I was like, wow, this is just overdone.
It seemed like everything in that movie was like a lot of the decisions were made so that video game developers could have material for their levels, you know. Everything from like the little weird minion things that they never discuss, really. They're just like, oh yeah, those are Dracula's minions. Well, what are they? So over here we have werewolves. Like they just kept avoiding like explaining what that was or his babies. I did think they did some really cool stuff with Frankenstein's monster. I really enjoyed a lot of the stuff with that, about how they let him talk, which is very rare in adaptations. Even though in the original book, Modern Prometheus, he just fucking rants. Like, yeah,
he talks almost too much in that.
Too much.
Yeah, he's a talker in the original novel.
Guy.
That Adam, which is Frankenstein's monster in the original book, goes on more monologues in that original book than a fucking Mike Flanagan miniseries. Okay, but yeah, dude, there was so much potential. There was so much. Like, I feel like if they actually like approached I like the idea of like having, you know, following his event. Like, I don't think it's a bad idea to kick off like a universe or to kick off a franchise surrounding Van Helsing. I just think the approach was wrong. They were trying to
be too much Wolverine.
I think they were trying to be too much Batman, really, with it. When really, I think Van Helsing needs to be more of an Indiana Jones type, like character.
Yeah, or Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter.
Exactly, and I think it. And I don't think they had too many monsters in it. I don't know what the fuck was the point of Mr. Hyde in the beginning. That was just a really weird choicing.
They're just trying to cram as many Universal guys in as possible. Was the Invisible Man in it?
No.
Yeah. You just didn't see him. He's just in the background.
He was there the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because this was kind of their first attempt at a dark universe type of thing, and then they did the other dark universe thing several years ago, and that didn't work out. And then we had the Invisible Man a couple years ago. And now they're going for like the legit scary Universal monster reboots. Like they got that Wolfman movie coming and the Dracula movie coming.
I'm just bummed we're not going to get a Russell Crowe Dr. Jekyll movie because, you know, thanks to the Tom Cruise mummy that tanked, we'll never get to see Russell Crowe's Dr. Jekyll again.
Yeah, but we have Noah, and that's like the best, watching him flip flop emotionally and all that. You know, 1 second going from loving father to trying to murder his like pregnant daughter-in-law or whatever. That was. Does no one remember Noah and Russell Crowe trying to murder a baby? Like,
to be honest, I missed that one.
Is that Noah and Noah's Ark, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, Darren Aronofsky's Noah. Okay. Remember? No?
I thought that was Ridley Scott. Did Ridley Scott do something similar to that?
He did Exodus, Gods and Monsters. Okay,
yeah. Got it. Yeah, these biblical guys.
Noah is the better movie, mostly because it's Russell Crowe on a boat, just like yelling a lot and
murdering babies.
He tries. He makes a valiant attempt. Like, I remember seeing that in theaters and go, holy shit, I came here to watch like a biblical epic. Because sometimes, you know, stories in the Bible can be epic and they're fun. But
not to spoil Mother, but what's up with Aronofsky and babies? Does he just not like them?
The whole thing.
I think he went through a period. I think he was trying to process some stuff about like not wanting another kid or just like being over it. But like, yeah, the ferocity of the ferociousness in which Russell Crowe approached that baby in Noah was it was jarring. Again, Noah's great. People go see that movie. It's basically the story of Noah's Ark, but like through the lens of like a Christopher Nolan Batman movie. It's a lot of fun.
I'm gonna say told by Aronofsky, who this is the guy who brought you Requiem for a Dream. So you know what kind of movie you're getting. And Black Swan.
So Russell Crowe trying to murder a baby isn't that far fetched, right?
Speaking of boats, I'm segueing from Noah. Have either of you guys watched Great White?
Yeah, I did.
The Great White.
Great White. It's the new shark movie on Shudder.
Yeah, honestly, didn't really care for it.
You know, it's funny because the first 2/3 I really like. You know, because it's about this pontoon plane expedition that gets terrorized by a shark, and the first 2/3 of it I thought was really just a fun little B movie. But the shark is terrible. The shark is like some sci-fi network
CG.
Yeah, it's like Sharktopus, shark. You know, what was the hurricane one? I'm totally blanking. Sharknado. Yeah, it was like some Sharktopus Sharknado style CG, which is pretty bad. And then the last act, I'm going to spoil a little bit of it, but okay. So a character drowns, and another one swims down to them, breathes into their mouth, and brings them back to life. Bullshit. First of all, even if that could happen with oxygen, you're breathing carbon dioxide into this other person. Oh my God. Okay. So anyway, I just spoiled a cliffhanger in Great White, but I don't think anybody's going to care.
See, and as for me, been going to the Alamo a lot because they've been doing a bunch of Godzilla screenings.
It was Godzilla Day.
Do you like Godzilla?
What?
Do you like Godzilla, Jacob?
I do love Godzilla. Yeah, no, because I've only gone to a couple of the screenings, but I was able to see the original 1954 Godzilla, which has a new 4K restoration, and one of my personal favorites from the franchise, Godzilla versus Hedorah, aka Godzilla versus the Smog Monster, which was a huge source of kinder trauma for me because Hedorah scared the hell out of me when I was a kid.
Hedorah is genuinely creepy, and it is a really great Did you watch the short that they recently put out of Godzilla versus Hedorah?
Yeah, the updated one with the costume. Because they had Godzilla Final Wars and Godzilla fought Hedorah, but it was only for like a minute. So they wanted like an actual fight. So they did a recreation with Godzilla versus Hedorah in like a full blown battle.
Yeah, that came out really good. That was tight. Yeah. It was like 10 minutes long, but real solid.
I dug it. But yeah, it was nice to see those theatrically. And again, it's just such a whiplash, kind of looking at the franchise, because you got Godzilla in the original 1954 version, who's terrifying, and he's the embodiment of nuclear explosions and weaponry. And then you got the later movies where Godzilla fights other monsters and stuff, and it's cool.
Well, it's kind of like how you and I went to that marathon of like 4 or 5 titles where we started off with Gojira, and then I think it ended on Godzilla versus Megalon, the one with Jet Jaguar.
Oh yeah.
But in like a movie or two after Gojira, it was Godzilla's Revenge, the one where it's the kid imagining
Manila, baby Godzilla.
Oh god, and like they put that like cartoon. Oh hey there, buddy. What's wrong with you? Why is your face so long? Let me tell you the story about Monster Island.
Yeah, that was weird that they did the Davy and Goliath voices.
That's exactly what it was.
It was.
But yeah, what a stark difference going from Gojira, which is a gorgeous movie with like really great, like it's like people always complain that the humans don't have good stories in Godzilla movies, especially with the MonsterVerse ones. Go back to the original Gojira. There's a great plot about arranged marriage and
Sarazawa juggling with the ethics of his weapon.
yeah, and the beautiful laid out and developed love triangle and stuff. Like there's some like really great stuff in there. And then and then a few years later you get to Godzilla's Revenge with the oh, is that bully hurting you? Oh, let me. And then they just like reuse clips from like Destroy All Monsters and stuff of Godzilla teaching Manila how to do smoke rings. It's a little frustrating, but I get it.
Yeah, it's why they had to give it such like bombastic title, because it's Godzilla's Revenge and Attack All Monsters Attack. And, and you think, oh man, that sounds cool. And it isn't. Yeah. And speaking of J-horror, I also watched this interesting Japanese horror movie it's been on my watch list forever, but it finally got a digital release. It's called Ghostmaster. It is crazy. It's like this small Japanese film crew making like a Japanese rom-com, and the assistant director wants to be a great horror director like Tobe Hooper, and there's a conflict, and the script he wrote comes to life, possesses the lead actor, and the lead actor starts killing everybody, Evil Dead style.
Oh, okay, yeah. Wait, but they were trying to make a romantic comedy?
Yeah, they were trying to make a romantic comedy, but the assistant director wanted to be a horror director, and he's just browbeat and abused by like the director and the producer, and this weird stuff happens. The blood gets on the script, and the script comes to life and possesses the lead actor, and he becomes like a deadite, and he starts killing everybody in these ridiculous, over the top ways.
Fuck yeah! Where can I find this movie?
It's available to rent on like Vudu, YouTube, all kinds of stuff.
And it's called what, Master?
Ghostmaster.
Ghostmaster. Okay, that sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, and it has a lot of references to Western horror and outright references to particularly Tobe Hooper. Like the director was definitely a huge fan of Tobe Hooper. Like Life Force is in fact a plot point of the movie. So it's kind of like One Cut of the Dead meets Evil Dead.
One Cut of the Evil Dead.
Yeah, there's not one cut, but you know the same kind of vibes. Yeah. It was a lot of fun, and it had some pretty wacky kills, especially because just the whole rom-com stuff kind of bleeds into it, mixed with the gory kills. So it's pretty wild.
I finally caught up with a movie that Jacob has been raving about. I saw Censor.
Yes.
And it pretty much lived up to the hype. It's a crazy. It's hard to describe. I mean, it's basically about a woman who does ratings for the British Film Board
in the 80s. So
yeah, in the 80s. Yeah, it's a fantastically retro movie. But a movie comes across her desk that just. I don't really want to spoil too much about it, but she basically needs to investigate this movie, and she does. And of course, it's a horror movie, so it doesn't go well. It's just a crazy movie. It's not really what I expected it to be. It's one of those movies that like the whole time I'm like, where's this going? I mean, is this really going to go there? And where it ends up is definitely worth the price of admission. I don't know if I'm as in love with it as Jacob is. Is it still your number one of the year?
Not sure about number one, but it's definitely my top three.
Okay. It's probably in my top 10. I don't know about top three because, you know.
All right. Well, that's a whole other conversation.
Oh, yeah. We got to start making those lists soon, don't we? It's already.
We do.
Wait.
It's been November.
I was about to say it's already November. It's already mid-November. This episode's coming out like days before Thanksgiving. Guys, what is time? What are we doing?
Time is a flat circle.
Time is a construct invented by man and the planets.
Actually, before we start recording this, James and I got into a good thing about time, which might actually segue to our next topic.
All right, let's, well, you know what?
Concept of time.
Today's topic is, to quote Korea, dysfunctional demented dinners. And I'm actually going to let him introduce it because I'm not entirely sure I understand the assignment. So we're winging it today. So take it, Korea.
I was trying to go for like a Guy Fieri's, diners, dives, drive-ins, and dives. there's 3Ds in there, so it kind of works, I guess. Yeah. Well, I mean, what today is Monday, but it's a week prior. But the episode comes out next week, which is Thanksgiving week, and typically on Thanksgiving people have dinner with their family. So I thought, let's talk about dinner with the family, but with the family we actually care about, i.e., horror movies. So yeah, just basically wanted to kind of go over some of our favorite dinner scenes, some iconic ones, some really gross ones. What are some that you want to attend? What are most that you want to avoid the ever-living fuck out of? And what is the most uncomfortable dinner scene, horror or not, that you have ever seen? I wanted to start off this discussion mainly to point out Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, the classic.
The gold standard.
1 and 2 have two of the best dinner scenes ever, and they are so different. The original, it's so minimal. There's like a few goofy shit hanging around the table, but it's creepy. They have the grandfather like suck the blood out of the girl's finger. It's like such an uncomfortable scene, and it goes on forever, or at least it feels like it. And the stark difference between that and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where it's down in this like almost like as
underground.
It's an underground. It's kind of like if Hanna-Barbera actually had a budget with their villain layers, and it's just like over the top and goofy, and like there's so much more color and all that, and it's just great because I always hope that if I have someone interrupt my family dinner, that it's Dennis Hopper just with a chainsaw going fucking nuts, but I don't have family dinner, so I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, just the stark difference between the two scenes. One is like totally played for just bone-chilling, creeping awkwardness, and the other one gets there. It definitely gets there, but it's way more over the top and cartoony. I love that because that's the big complaint everyone always has with Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. Like, why would you go for a comedy with that? It's like, how could you follow up Texas Chainsaw Massacre with the same thing? You have to go more extreme with everything, and I think Hooper did that perfectly with TCM 2.
That's kind of the difference between Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2 anyway, is the second one is much more cartoony and over the top. Anyway, the first one is almost like a documentary at times. It's so gritty. And did they shoot it on 8 or 16?
I know they shot it on tail ends. So, and I think it was 16. I please correct me if I'm wrong, but I know it's one of those films kind of like The Evil Dead where they shot it on tail ends, so the unused strips from other productions, which gives it like a more gritty feel and look to it anyways, because it's film that's already gone through canisters, has been cut, it might be a little bit exposed, it's already kind of fucked up. So yeah, they definitely had that like dark, or not even dark, it's a very bright movie.
It's just grainy.
It's just dirty,
gritty.
Grainy, yeah.
It reminds you of those old war films that you'd see, coming back from Vietnam, kind of a thing. Where handheld camera, you could see the grain on the footage.
Yeah.
But the second Texas Chainsaw Massacre is so much more polished.
Oh yeah, it's grander scheme, and of course it's a comedy, dude. It opens up with Leatherface hanging off of a truck with like a body in front of him, and he's using it like a puppet as he swipes his over the top giant chainsaw that is so not phallic. It's not phallic at all. Chainsaws are not phallic in TCM 2.
And set to Oingo Boingo's No One Lives Forever.
Yep. Which is just such a great scene of him just like that over the top chainsaw just killing 80s yuppies set to Oingo Boingo.
But yeah, no, those are some dinner parties I would not want to be a part of.
Well, depends on what side of the table you're on, right? If you're one of the Sawyers, maybe. If you're a guest of the Sawyers, no.
True. Also, just quick aside, like it's never pointed out, but in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like I think Grandpa is like a vampire or something.
Yeah, I never got like the sucking of the blood. Yeah, I get, but like. That was one of those things where, because I've heard that theory of like, is he a vampire? Is he not? And it's just like, why would you make him a vampire? I don't know.
He's some kind of ghoul.
A ghoul I could accept, I guess. I don't know. I just watched Monster Club, so I'm all like, was he a Chadmuck? Not a Chadmuck. No.
Who knows?
The movie that Korea and I were talking about time being at a construct for, which has actually, what brought it up is he says it's a dinner scene. I say it's a breakfast scene, but Alien.
Oh.
And I will tell you, the reason I think it's a breakfast scene is because they just woke up from their hyperspace nap. They're breaking their fast.
And here's the reason why I say it doesn't matter, because time is a construct. Our perception of time is due to rotations around the sun. Guess what? They're in deep space. There is no rotation of sun out there. Thus, time is irrelevant. Also, you can eat breakfast foods whenever. You can eat dinner foods whenever. I will fight anyone who says I can't eat spaghetti at 6 in the morning.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Korea on this one.
But also, I just find it funny that that scene is always referred to as the chestburster scene, and it's never the dinner scene or the breakfast scene, because that's most of the scene is them sitting there eating.
Actually, you know what? I agree with Korea now, too, now that I'm thinking about it, because this happened after Kane woke up from being at the, but they didn't just wake up from their, I'm thinking of it.
Yeah, no. Yeah,
I'm thinking of a different meal scene where Parker's like, "Oh, gotta finish my coffee first. It's the only good thing on the ship." So yeah, okay. I'm getting my meal scenes and Alien mixed up. So you're right. That probably is a dinner scene. Even though Kane just woke up, it's his breakfast.
We don't have to stick just at dinner. We can talk about creepy breakfast scenes too. I'm sure there's a few there.
Or like in Freddy's Revenge where the cereal box explodes.
The thing about Alien, about the chestburster scene, is at the time it was so shocking. I mean, that's the movie, and still to this day, that's the scene in the movie people talk about.
Oh, yeah.
When you think of Alien, you think of the chestburster, and it's so much so that they parody it in Spaceballs. Yeah.
And they actually got
John Hurt.
Yeah, they actually got John Hurt to revise to do that. Oh no, not again!
Not again!
Oh, it's so great, and they even made a whole documentary about it. Memory Origins of Alien was half that documentary is just dissecting that scene, which is utterly fantastic.
They didn't tell the actors how much blood was going to be there. So with Veronica Cartwright, when she gets splattered with blood, her reaction's real. And if you look at her, it's like this shock scream. She was really grossed out.
Understandably so.
Yeah.
As for me, when it comes to dinner scenes, the first one that came to mind was Dracula. From Dracula, I guess a couple different versions, but the one that I was thinking of was from Francis Ford Coppola's Dracula with him and Jonathan Harker. Because remember, like, he's got him over and he's like treating him, which also ties, actually, oddly enough, to another movie, Shadow of the Vampire. Because one of the most memorable things about that is like the scene where they're sitting with Max Schreck, the guy who plays Nosferatu in the movie, and in this context, he's an actual vampire. And they ask him what he thought of the book Dracula, and he said it made him sad because in the context of Dracula serves Harker himself because even though he's a count and a lord, he doesn't have any servants, he doesn't have any family, he's by himself, he's alone, and he has to treat this man because he's got nobody else. So it's like he may be the vampire lord of darkness, but he's all by his lonesome. So he has to feed and take care of this guy, treat this guy as his guest. So I always thought that was kind of an interesting perspective. Plus, it gave us the line, I do not drink wine.
You can't find good help in Transylvania. That's just fact. Labor shortage.
Yeah, I mean, the villagers all shun him.
Dracula's just in his castle going, sorry, I can't serve you as quickly. We're experiencing a labor shortage because no one wants to work right now.
Yeah, nobody wants to work for me.
Maybe if he paid them a living wage.
Maybe if you didn't eat them. Oh God, that's a beautiful comparison. No one wants to work these days. Everyone's too lazy. No, Dracula, you keep eating people.
Someone's got to meme that.
Oh God.
I have a question for you guys. What holiday are they celebrating in the dinner and you're next?
I think I just assume it's either kind of like a Thanksgiving thing, or if it's just, it seems like just kind of a general family reunion type situation.
I think it might be an anniversary, maybe the parents' anniversary, because all the kids are coming home for it. But yeah, but it has kind of a Thanksgiving vibe, because they all bring their girlfriends and wives and whoever, and
they're spending the weekend there.
But that's definitely a dinner I don't want to be at.
Ty West learned that the hard way.
Did they purposely keep that like as vague as possible? Because I know there's like sometimes like that's a choice, like kind of like how It Follows. The girl who's always on her phone, it's like a shell phone, and they did that to try to not date the movie, but instead it became like the most distracting prop ever.
Yeah, it's like a weird alternate universe.
Yeah, It Follows. They purposely made it so that you couldn't figure out when it is, because the cars are like all over the place. I mean, some of them are like super modern Priuses, and then you've got your classic Darts. I think they purposely made it with It Follows where you couldn't date the movie. I mean, all of the fashions and hairstyles are real generic. You barely ever see adults. It's all the kids. So I think they purposely made it ambiguous they made it timeless.
Yeah.
And they may have done the same thing with You're Next. They may have said, if we don't name the holiday, people will watch this at Christmas, at Thanksgiving, at Easter.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it's all about the family and the three home invaders.
Speaking of family, one of the dinner scene that I have the hardest time watching, because there's some dinner scenes where it's gross, but it looks appetizing. Like, every dinner scene in the TV show Hannibal, it's people, but the food just looks so good and they shoot it, so it's so delicious. On the opposite side of the spectrum was Peter Jackson's Dead Alive, where they have that one dinner scene with the priest and the main character's trying to make it so that no one knows that his mother is the undead. And just an aside, that it's not a priest, it's like the representatives from the Good Homes organization, New Zealand. It's like one of those things, like that's what it was.
Yeah, it's just one of those figures, like or like from like Hot Fuzz, like the best looking town type of thing. It's just one of those things. But yeah, like it's like about home decency or something weird like that. And yeah, and the old lady's falling apart literally in front of them.
Oh yeah, and then she squeezes the like rat bite in her arm and just squirts pus across the table into their soup, and the woman eats it. Custard, there we go.
Oh yeah. Oh man, it's queasy just making me think about it.
That was the first movie to make me gag. Like that legitimately made me almost puke. And I applaud Jackson for that, because especially when I first saw it, I had a very iron stomach. But yeah, that is definitely a dinner I do not want to attend. That was nasty.
Oh yeah.
And I do like custard, so I don't know. But now I can't trust custard.
Yeah, just especially around old ladies. And conversely, you go back to his earlier work, there's also Bad Taste, where humans are going to be the dinner to the aliens, and they've got that one dude, like the salesman, like tied up with an apple in his mouth like a roast pig.
True that.
A lot of the early Peter Jackson movies had a lot to do with food and people as food.
His first three were very about excess, whether it was food or sex. With Meet the Feebles, it was a lot of all that and ties to violence, which were all done very over the top. Like he was only like a stone skip away from like trauma level of audacity.
Oh, no doubt.
Gotta love the early 90s New Zealand splatter films.
Yes. On the other spectrum, just in terms of the most awkward dinner scene, like the one that comes to mind for me would have to be, of course, Hereditary. The whole "I am your mother" dinner scene.
Ooh.
Remember that?
Yeah, that's the thing. We've been discussing a lot of ones that have a lot of like crazy supernatural or serial killer stuff. Just plain old awkward family dinners, like Hereditary or Chosen Family with The Invitation.
Yeah.
That was one of the most awkward, like even before they got into like the weird culty, I don't know what, I'm still trying to piece together like what was going on. It was just awkward with everyone just kind of like side-eyeing and like mouthing each other and stuff. Like, that was uncomfortable. But the wine looked delicious.
Yes.
As far as watching and noticing little things, any of the meals in Midsommar, bringing up another Ari Aster, you notice like when Christian is eating, and he finds hair in his food, and then you notice his drink is a little more red than the others.
Yeah.
And if you're paying attention to like the tapestries and what's going, you know what's going on with him.
Yep.
And sometimes it takes a second watch to realize that, but you're like, okay, that's a good detail.
There's another thing from that girl that's in his drink that is not kosher.
Oh, God.
But the meals in that movie, they look so delicious.
Oh, those meat pies,
portions,
Yeah.
the portions, it's just like, come on, if you're going to be tripping balls all day, you need to have a little bit more than a tiny meat pie.
Yeah, the shrooms.
Where's the vegetables? Where's the sides? Those meat pies look good, but like a side of like some like roasted asparagus would have paired perfectly with that. Maybe they didn't grow asparagus in that part of the country. I don't know.
So we're all just going to ignore the bear then?
Oh, did they eat the bear?
No, they dressed Christian up in the bear.
Right. They sewed him into that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the movie kind of ignored the bear too. It just showed a bear in a cage and then like didn't show it again until Christian was in it at the end. So
there's a payoff.
There's a bit of a payoff.
I just love how they point that out. Like you see, and they even say it's a bear. The camera is going past a bear in a cage, and one of the characters actually says, "We're just going to ignore the bear thing."
And they did. Still better payoff than what they did with the Oracle.
Oh yeah. That went nowhere.
That's still my only gripe is what like. Why didn't you do a little bit more? Like, I thought they were going to expand a bit more on the Oracle in the director's cut, and they didn't. But
yeah, I really don't understand what that deal was.
I with Ari Aster's movies, I always avoid trailers like the plague. And I remember being really pissed off at, I think it was Fangoria, posted a picture of that Oracle on the cover of their magazine before the movie came out. And I'm like, oh, shit, I just had this movie spoiled by the freaking Fango cover. No, I didn't. Not at all.
just looked like a blonde version of that guy from 300, the traitor leper, was he? Or
the Hunchback.
Yeah. Still a great movie. Just wish they did a bit more with the Oracle.
I love Midsommar, and I think the director's cut is better. Even though it only really adds 2 scenes, it's just deliberately slower. And for me to say that makes a movie better is huge because, I mean, my favorite thing about Censor was it's 84 minutes long. Same with Saint Maud, my favorite movie of the year so far. It's like 83 minutes. I mean, that's you can watch that twice in the span of one director's cut of Midsommar.
I love Saint Maud so much, and I can't believe they're just dumping it. I'm going to take a moment. They're dumping Saint Maud on Blu-ray. It hasn't really gotten a theatrical run, and it's getting like a bare bones Blu-ray, not even getting a 4K release.
It got a theatrical.
It was at the drive-in.
Like, very limited, but like...
It's already, when I tell people that's my favorite movie of the year, all of the festival people are like, oh, but that's from last year.
That's what I'm saying.
You can't say that. It's like, oh, it's not from last year because I didn't freaking see it last year. So shut the fuck up. Get out of my face.
It was released this year. They played.
Yeah, it was released in January. I remember saying, is it too early to decide my favorite movie of the year? And it still is my favorite movie of the year.
I'm just upset that like there's a lot of really good movies that aren't getting 4K releases. Fuck, I'm doing it again. I don't know how to pronounce that movie James Wan just did.
Malignant.
There we go. Malignant. God damn it. Now I can't watch it again. Malignant's not getting a 4K release. The Night House didn't get a 4K release. Saint Maud's not getting a 4K release. Zola, which was one of the best looking movies of the year, not getting a 4K release. How can I tell that bathroom scene who is the hot mess without seeing the toilet bowl in HD and 4K UHD? Come on. But yeah, it's ridiculous how many how it at this point where we are in releasing of disc, it feels like if you're not putting it out on Blu-ray and 4K, you're just kind of dumping the movie, and that sucks because there's a lot of really good movies that really do deserve the best home release it can get, and I think Saint Maud is definitely one of them. I still have my Studio Canal steelbook that I got at the beginning of the year or end of last year. But I want a 4K release, you know?
Right.
End of rant.
Well, yeah, back to our topic. I just want to mention, because we also are running out of time here. In fact, we are out of time. But one that I want to mention, my favorite dinner scene, the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, yes.
And it's for personal reasons. It's my favorite because it's one of my favorite movies. But just the fact that, you know, it's kind of a birthday dinner more than anything else because they actually say happy birthday. But then when they reveal what they're eating, and you know, it's a 45-year-old movie, so I'm going to say not meatloaf again. But yeah, that's probably my favorite dinner scene of all time in a movie. Yeah,
and also in the stage show, apparently the joke line that they added was when they asked Dr. Frankenfurter what they're having for dinner. Frankenfurter just says meatloaf.
Well, that would have been added after because Meatloaf. Well, he was in the stage show, but in the stage show, Eddie and Dr. Scott are the same actor.
Oh,
so Meatloaf played both Dr. Scott and Eddie when he was the actual.
Oh,
when he was in the stage show.
And I hear he was pretty upset about that they weren't doing that 4-picture show, that they were hiring a different actor, which is understandable. That's, you know, less days you work. But I think for at least a cinematic version of it, I think it works a bit better. On the stage version, it's hilarious seeing them switch between the two, you know, and having to do the costume changes and all that.
Well, there's plenty of time between Eddie getting killed and Dr. Scott showing up. So there's lots of time to do makeup and costume. I think it would. I like the way they did it in the movie because the guy who plays Dr. Scott is incredible. Yeah. But I do think it's a fun visual gag for, you know, you know, because it's his nephew. So, you know, they should look alike. And, you know, plus Meatloaf's doing the Eddie song, the Dr. Scott's song is, I mean, Meatloaf is an incredible singer. I mean, he honestly is. So.
Yeah. But also, just like as soon as you brought up Rocky Horror, the revealed meal is just the weirdest, like cheapest. Like it's like they took like some actual like butcher meats and then they were like, let's add in some stuff to make it look like it's Eddie.
Let's put it in the leather jacket. Yeah,
it's just the silliest thing. And that's why we love Rocky Horror. It's just the silliest thing.
I just love it because as soon as they one by one realize what they're eating, they all kind of put their utensils down and they're getting grossed out. And Rocky, the monster, who, you know, was born just a few hours before, he just keeps chowing down. He doesn't get it.
And it has that great scare card, you know, the rock and roll dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's when he finally pulls the tablecloth off because the meal is under the table. And Eddie! Yeah.
Eddie, no.
An electric carving knife.
It just goes to show that thanks to society, we don't eat people. You know, without society, we would eat people and not be fazed by it. Apparently,
it is taboo.
Yeah.
Life's pretty cheap for those types. All right, let's wrap this one up. So,
yeah, bud.
Let us know what your favorite dinner scenes are. We probably missed quite a bit, but that's just because there are so many of them. So track us down. Let us know. Our theme song is by Restless Spirit, so give them a listen. And our artwork is by Chris Fisher, so check him out. You can find us and let us know what your favorite dinner scenes are at the Eye on Horror Facebook, the Eye on Horror Twitter, the Eye on Horror Instagram, the Eye on Horror Letterbox, the Eye on Horror Tinder, the Eye on Horror Grinder. What else do we have?
Bumble. I think we're on that one too.
Are we on Bumble now?
Is that a thing still? I don't know. I'm out of the scene.
Oh, are we on? We're on Meta, right? Because
we're going to be on Meta. Yeah, we're already pretty Meta. Also, tell Tell us your favorite breakfast and lunch scenes. What's your favorite salad date scenes? What's your favorite getting a coffee scene? How much of these favorite scenes is actually from Scream Queens, which gives us the best of all of the dinner scenes, including Thanksgiving with the Radwells, of course. Sorry, had to sneak in Scream Queens real quick.
Yeah, okay. Cool. All right. So, let us know what your favorite dinner scenes are, and we will see you in a couple of weeks. So for me, James J. Edwards.
I'm Jacob Davison.
And I'm Jonathan Correa.
Keep your eye on horror.